Members running for 2 seats. They are, in alphabetical order, Jeff Birdie, Ariel Johnson, Paula Kuhn, Katrina Ruggless, Sean Ruggless, and John Thad Willard.
And good evening. I'd like to welcome you to yet another Waycross Election Forum, this being for Winton Woods City School Board of Education. I'm Jason Grzgorek, Waycross Community Media's Government Access Coordinator, and your host and moderator for the evening. I'm very fortunate to have 4 of the 6 joining us, 1 by tape, so that would be 5, but 4 here tonight in the studio. I'm very fortunate to have with me Jeff Birdie, Paula Kuhn, Katrina Ruggless, and Sean Ruggless. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ariel Johnson was possibly going to be here this evening. Unfortunately, she did not make it this evening. And Thad Willard was unable to attend due to some unforeseen circumstances, but we do have a taped opening statement from him, which we will play once our statements are in conclusion. With that, I will allow everyone to have a 2-minute opening statement. From there, we will open up the phone lines and emails to the voting audience at home. So with that, Mr. Birdie, I'm going to start with you with a 2-minute opening statement.
Good evening. Again, I am Jeff Birdie. There are many reasons why I'm running for Winton Woods School Board. Most of all, I've been a resident of this school district for a little over 50 years. I grew up in Forest Park, graduated from Forest Park High School myself. My wife graduated from Green Hills High School. We've lived in Green Hills for the past 30 years. And both of my children have graduated from the Green Hills or from Winton Woods School District. Most recently, my youngest graduated last school year and is currently a freshman at UC Blue Ash with the goal of getting his doctorate in psychology. Both of my sons received what I would consider a quality education at the Winton Woods School District, and I'd like to make sure that future generations of children also have the same opportunities that my children have. From an educational background, I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Cincinnati. I majored in accounting. After graduating from the University of Cincinnati, I obtained my certified public accounting license. Currently, it's inactive and I am retired. Don't currently have a full-time employment. I left employment as the CFO of a fairly large healthcare organization. And as a CFO, I served on corporate boards, served on finance committees, quality committees, and compensation committees, and I believe those experiences will help me as a member of the Winton Woods School Board. I'm an advocate of public education. I volunteered as the treasurer for the Committee for Educational Progress and School Issues, and I've enjoyed doing that over the last 7 years. Public education is the foundation on which our children will build their future success, and I think it's important that we stabilize our public education system. I think that my experiences can help the school district move forward. We all want better test scores, and we all want to restore the pride in the Winton Woods School District. Thank you.
All right. Paula, 2 minutes to you.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Paula Kuhn, and as a candidate for the Winton Woods City School Board of Education, I solicit your vote November the 3rd. I, too, am a lifelong resident of our community. I grew up in Forest Park. In 1979, graduated Forest Park High School. I have 29 years as a district parent when my eldest daughter started kindergarten in 1986, and my son graduated this past May from Winton Woods High School. During that time, I've been a strong advocate of our school district, of our children. I've worked very hard to serve the needs of our community and our children as in many leadership roles as Winton Woods Community PTA President. Also served as Winton Woods Performing Arts Booster President. Current President also of the Winton Woods Educational Foundation. Served as co-chair on the operating levy that was passed in 2009. Served on numerous committees and continue to do so. The natural transition for me is to take a higher level role, more active role as a school board member, to be able to help decide policy, to set expectations higher, to take our district to where it needs to go for the success and education of all of our children. Public education is one of the basic tenets that makes our country strong. And without a strong foundation, many will not survive and not be able to be productive citizens. I take this to heart. Many people worked that I don't know that gave me that opportunity, and it's my turn to offer that to future generations. I'm excited about initiatives that are put in place right now with all-day kindergarten, all-day preschool, but there's so much more that we have to do. Thank you.
Ms. Ruggles, 2 minutes to you.
Thank you. My name is Katrina Ruggles, and I am a 17-year resident of Springfield Township and married to Sean Ruggles, who is also running for school board. We have 3 children, one of which is a 2012 Winton Woods graduate. I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in education, and I am a strong advocate of academic excellence and student performance. I have been in education for over 20 years with experience that spans from teaching preschool to my current role at Cincinnati State as a college administrator. For the past 10 years, I have worked with first-generation, low-income students in making a smooth transition to college and completing an associate's degree. This experience has helped me understand what is truly needed at grades K through 12 for students to be successful at the collegiate level. As an engaged community member, working to make education a community priority, I have remained actively engaged even after my daughter graduated from Winton Woods, in helping to improve student progress and community growth. I am a product of public and private school education, which gives me a unique perspective on the educational needs of our communities and our families. I have current and past experiences in the following organizations that support student growth: the Warrior Academic Advisory Council, Parents for Public Schools Greater Cincinnati, and member of several committees within the district, including the PTA, Community Engagement, and the student and the Winton Woods Superintendent Student Achievement Committee. In addition to these roles, I have also served as the state superintendent's Parent Advisory Council and the president of Good Catch. It's only through these experiences that I am ready to serve you.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Ruggles, 2 minutes to you as well.
All right. Good evening. My name is Sean Ruggles. I am a 17-year resident of Springfield Township, married to Katrina Ruggles, proud parent of 3. I have over 15 years of community service and civic experience. Professionally, I serve as the president and CEO of the Greater Cincinnati African American Chamber, but I'm also on several boards that are focused on building stronger communities, such as United Way, as well as the American Red Cross. As a board member of the United Way, I've heard proposals that come from our school district and gave it overall support to draw funding for programs that are vital to our students. I'm very involved in our community from a Winton Woods School District standpoint in our local community. I've served on the Winton Woods Fiscal Advisory Council, been a part of previous levies. I've served as a student career pathway presenter during assemblies, and I've been on the sidelines of all of our soccer fields for the past 16 years through coaching with Star Soccer Club, working with youth in Forest Park, Green Hills, and Springfield Township. And I've also served as a past board member of the Lincoln Heights Christian Academy and other public boards. My philosophy is simple. Great communities deserve great schools. And academics create more opportunities for success for the students that live in our school district. I have a master's degree in business and a BA in economics, and I have a skill set that I can lend to the school district to accelerate the pace of progress. So there's a lot of great things that are happening in our school district in terms of new innovative ideas and approaches. However, the pace of progress in terms of its state rating and the achievement of all of its students continues to lag behind our investments. So if elected as your next school board member, I commit to responsive leadership, achievement for all students, and to make sure that our resources work as hard as they can. Thank you.
Perfect. That is a 2-minute statement from everyone here that is on our dais. We now go to Thad Willard's roll-in for his 2-minute opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Thad Willard. I am a resident of Green Hills and lived in the Winton Woods School District for over 20 years. I am a candidate for the Winton Woods Board of Education. I first became interested in the school system about 7 to 8 years ago when I first noted some slippage in the academic achievements of our students. It went, obviously, as everyone remembers, from academic improvement down to academic watch, and now we have recent scores of F in the state rating system. This is critical for our system because it now has rated among the lowest in the state of Ohio and in Hamilton County. As some of you may know, the state has recently passed a law to make it easier to take over school systems they feel are failing. This is happening now in Youngstown and also starting in Dayton, Ohio. It was only a matter of time for smaller systems like us became a prime candidate unless we can improve our academic standing. I think at this point in time, a complete review of the courses must be considered by the Board of Education, as well as backing up the new superintendent who is actually trying to make a difference. I think we have a situation where teachers should be backed up more as far as school discipline is concerned, because children who disrupt a classroom continually violate the rights of others in that class to learn. I ask, therefore, for your vote in the coming election. Thank you.
And that, of course, was John Thad Willard giving his 2-minute opening statement. At this point, we are now ready to open the questions to our panelists from you and from me, and from behind the curtain, Jenny Key from the Community Press. So with that, if you are joining us tonight on October 6th, 2015, you may either phone us at 825-23971 or email us at live@waycross.org. All the information will be given to our panelists. A few rules of the road. Make sure you give us your name, part of town, as well as the question in which you are asking. And from that point, we will get things rolling. I will start the first question off with Ms. Kuhn. 3 issues that are facing the district. What do you feel they are, and how do we address them?
Primarily, the first one is academics and academic success for all of the children in our district. We have pockets of success, and I think Winwoods does several things very, very well. And what I would like them to do is extend that to the middle group, perhaps the group that isn't getting the attention that they need. So academics would be primarily number 1. Number 2, I think, is parental involvement and feeling a community because of the fact that I think our schools change every 2 years. It's hard to buy in as a family to be committed to parental involvement. I believe that would be the second piece I think that's important. And I do think the third part is community engagement to augment and to support the school district.
All right. Katrina, same question to you as well.
Yes, the top 3 priorities that I believe that's facing the Winton City School District is definitely academics, community growth and relationship building, as well as funding. If I go back to the academic progress, over the last decade, we've suffered with failing to move students forward. And we have to find a way to put plans into place that can be monitored and can be communicated to our community, our progress on those objectives, so that we can build the relationships and build the partnerships and support for our schools, because then our community is aware of the plan and how it is that we are moving forward. Funding, as the last part, is we have to make sure that our funding model supports our plans for academic growth. How are we distributing our funds across the district? And we have to explore resources as well as grants. And are there any ways that we can collaborate and share resources to reduce the dependency on taxpayers and find collaborative partnerships to move our community forward?
Sean, same question.
Good. The first piece is academics. In 2009, a levy was passed in which provided the district a 10-year operations levy of about $42 million, in which the overall promise was that we would have an excellent rating in a fixed period of time. We found ourselves halfway through that, and actually our ratings have either stayed the same or they've declined to a point where we are one of the lowest rated school districts in Hamilton County. The interesting part is at the same time that we're being rated that way, we're also seeing some success and some innovation happening in terms of new programming, programs for the students. And so what I would like to do, and I think it's a big academic priority, is the fact that we have to get stronger indicators in terms of how the school district is rated for the state to make sure that we have more students passing. The second, so we have an opportunity to improve our academic standing. The second area of focus for me would be fiscal management. Because of the fact that the community's already voted to invest in our school district several times, we now have to take a look at what our administrative and in-classroom spending then looks like. The feedback that we've gotten so far in terms of campaigning has been that because of our tax level across all 3 townships, no one's willing to sign up to pay more money. So what we're seeing now is that we now need to make sure that our resources work harder. And so we have to take a look at the fact that, out of 610 districts throughout the state, we are actually the 528th highest. And so what we have an opportunity to do is take a look at how can we look at administrative costs, drive efficiencies, drive more in-classroom spending. We still have teachers purchasing their own supplies. The third area would be college readiness. People are going through our school system to open up better opportunities for success in college. And only 56% of our student population is choosing to take the ACT, and 93% of them, after they graduate, need to go into a remedial course in college. And so we got to better prepare our students for the future.
Perfect. And Mr. Birdie, ending the question with you.
I think we're all in agreement. Academics is the most important issue that we've got. We've got to improve the test scores. Passing 7 out of 24 measures is not acceptable. We've got to do better, and only through doing better at that can we then restore the pride that the community should have in the school district. I think there are programs going on right now that will help us move in that direction. All-day preschool, all-day kindergarten, that's where it starts. That's where we lay the foundation of the education with the children that we've got within the school district. Those things need to be reviewed. We need to find out, are there additional mentoring programs? Can we get additional corporate or church groups to help us move our younger children forward so that they're more prepared for the 4th grade and higher levels as they move forward through the school district. Then the other thing is, as Paula said, I think there are pockets of things that are going well in the school district. The AGS program is one of the things that I think the school district is very proud of. It's unique, and it's had a great deal of success. They just graduated their first class that went from freshman through senior last school year. And with that, I think, comes improved communication with the community. I think in the past, we've probably done a good job of communicating with the parents of children that are in the school district, but some of the feedback that I've gotten is residents that don't have children in the school district don't always know what's going on and what things are happening within the school district. So I think we need to improve communication so that people are more aware of the progress that is being made within the school district.
All right. Well, believe it or not, we have our first phone call question. We have to read them off. Seems like we're having a little technical difficulty, but Terry from Forest Park does ask, and this will be coming to you, Ms. Ruggles, start. Do you support a bond levy? And if so, how do you think new buildings will improve our district academically?
Okay, this is a good question. I believe that we grow and are better when we are open to diverse and innovative ideas. Support for the bond levy begins with building relationships first. Over the last 2 bond issues, I did not see a lot of effort to build relationships with the community prior to placing the bond on the ballot. In fact, the strategy that was used was to not deal with those who had a different opinion. And after reaching out to the board and reaching out to the superintendent to try and bring our community together to discuss how we can improve academics as well as, listen to the needs for the new bond, we did not have that connection. And it was unsuccessful in getting the community together to really have real dialogue on that. And since the message did not include academic strategies for improvement, I could not support this past bond. However, moving forward, It is very important that we start to listen to stakeholders. I believe our stakeholders have come together and have shared with the district leadership of what's important to them in an effort before we move forward with adding any additional taxes. And I think it's important to build that relationship first, increase communication, and really help the broader community understand what the issues are with the district. That is not to say that in the future I would not support it, but right now my focus is academic improvement of our students so that they can have a great future and ready for success.
Sean, same question.
Okay. As it relates to the investment in school buildings, there's a couple of things that I agree with. I think we're all saying the same thing around it. We all agree that academics has to be the priority for the entire community, because great communities deserve great schools, and when we have great schools, we attract great families, and we keep great families. The challenge is that the model that we're chose to do in terms of the progress of activity is inconsistent with how new buildings are built in other school districts. As an example, typically when you see a brand new school in a district, it's coupled with two things. First is a track record of academic performance. So there is at least a moving up or momentum built around how it educates its children. And the second piece is that the levy itself is then accompanied with an academic or curriculum plan in terms of just how how the physical facilities as well as the new curriculum will continue to advance children into the 21st century. The last piece is that there's a more holistic approach in terms of how to engage the community into the conversation. Most school districts, in terms of Princeton and everyone else, started their conversations with their community at least 2 years before their vote. Mm-hmm. And so it was able to then get new ideas, put those ideas into a brand new model in which the community can then support. The timing for our investment was just off because of the fact that we're operating under the first levy, which promised progress, and it hasn't happened. So the feedback we have is the fact that the levy tried twice. It failed the last time with almost three out of four residents saying that this wasn't the time to invest in new buildings. And so I believe that what has to happen is we have to come out with a new approach. We have to find evidence of progress and make sure every student that goes into that building comes out with academic success and future success. And we have to build something and build some pride in which the entire community can stand behind.
Mr. Birdie.
Personally, I did support the bond levy, and my reasoning behind supporting the bond levy was both from an academic and a financial standpoint. If you've visited the schools that our children are being educated in right now, like at the high school, there are trailers attached to the high school that were meant to be temporary structures. They have window air conditioning units on them. This is not an optimal situation for children to be educated in. We have school buildings that leak on a regular basis. And things like this are not the way we should have our children being educated. They're distractions to what should be taking place within the school buildings. The other issue is, as we maintain and continue to use these older buildings, it's estimated that over the next 20 years, we're going to spend $68 million in renovations. Without a bond levy and new buildings, that $68 million is going to come out of the operating budget of the school district. They're going to have to come back to the residents of the school district to do maintenance on buildings that currently exist that are old and fairly outdated from both a technology and a facility standpoint. I think that the community spoke loudly that they weren't ready. They did not want the additional taxes associated with the bond levy that was presented to the community in the last two times. I honestly believe we need to go back to the community. We need to get some community involvement in the decision-making process as to what should the next bond levy look like? How should the buildings be structured? What communities should the buildings be in? And what grade levels should they house? And I think those are all things that we should take into account as we look to go forward with this.
And Ms. Koonk?
To me, there's a couple different issues. There's operating and academic monies, and often they're not tied together. You can't use this one for that one. The importance of providing a safe, sound, structural facility that provides for quality education, that's allows our children to maximize the educational opportunities is important. And the fact that our buildings are aging They were many built when I was going to school in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s. They were built very quickly to house children that were moving into the Forest Park, Green Hills area very quickly. They were built, I don't know, with the best of construction design. I think that the cost of renovating them and the cost to replace all the major facilities would be very costly over the next few decades. So from a community standpoint, it's not a vote for nothing or we have to pay this amount to build new schools. There's still a cost of maintaining the buildings. And the fact that the state of Ohio, the only way they get involved is by building, to offer their state money for building is, that's the only avenue that they enter into the equation. Academics would be the benefit of the new buildings. I too also supported them and will continue to do so, but the case was poorly framed, it was poorly constructed, and it was left pretty much to wither. You have to make a case for people to buy in, to understand the value, and it is important to bring the community in as well.
Well, we have our next phone question coming in from Joyce from the City of Forest Park. Joyce asks, what is your plan for addressing and improving racial issues in the Winton Woods District? Sean, we're going to start with you. I will let you know we're starting to get a lot more phone calls and emails. We're going to reduce the time limit of questions from 2 minutes to 1 minute. Sean, starting with you.
Well, the answer to that question is that the school district doesn't choose what students come to it. It has to educate the children that it has in its neighborhoods. And so what we need to focus on is, do we have the teaching staff, do we have the administration, do we have individuals in the community that offer a certain level of cultural competency? And so when we think about cultural competency, is really understanding what insights around the different racial groups and ethnic groups that are in the school, and identifying strategies in which everyone can coexist and get and advance the best possible learning experience possible. So our district is not only very diverse ethnically, but it's very diverse globally. And so what we need to make sure is that everyone is on the same page around issues of diversity. But we also have to recognize that diversity is different than the term inclusion. Diversity just means that that's our makeup. Inclusion means, do we have activity and behaviors that modify how we're treating every student to make sure everybody's treated with dignity and respect.
Mr. Birdie.
I think one of the greatest things about the Winton Woods School District is the diversity that is in the school district. There's over 25 different languages spoken within the school district, so it's not just a race issue. It's also a foreign country issue where we've got people that are new to the United States within our school districts, and it is culturally, our teachers should have some education as to how to deal with the cultural differences that may arise on a daily basis within their classrooms.
Ms. Kuhn?
I think it's important to establish expectation and have a common value that we all have as human beings. I think it's important to be aware and to be cognizant of a person's point of view and where they're coming from and their experiences. This is key and a key component to achieving this harmony. But I do think there's a common bond, a common value, and a set of expectations that go into place.
And Ms. Ruggles?
Yes.
Wound out.
I believe the question was about really how to address racism. And because we have such a diverse group of individuals and students within our community, I believe the first thing we have to do is talk about it. Many people are very uncomfortable about talking about the issues, and they go off on their own and they discuss it among themselves. And if individuals are feeling that there's some disparity in treatment, we need to address that, and we need to have proactive plans and policies that support that, as well as culturally competent staff, because oftentimes it may not be intentional, but it might be inadvertent that someone may not understand that they're crossing some cultural norms. So we have to be open to talking about it and coming up with proactive plans to address it.
All right, our next question will be going to you, Mr. Birdie. This is coming from Kim from Forest Park. What community partnerships have you developed outside the school organizations that will help improve the current state of academics and achievement within the district? And again, Mr. Birdie, to you first.
I have been involved with the Committee for Educational Progress and School Issues, which has been in support of bond issues and levy issues to help us move forward and achieve better academic improvements. We haven't been there yet. We still need to do some work on those. I also volunteer as a mentor to a fourth grader in a Cincinnati public school, and I'd like to expand those opportunities for mentoring programs within the Winton Woods School District.
Ms. Kim.
I was working on the Winton Woods Educational Foundation and other parent groups. I've reached out into the community to different businesses, such as Meyer, who provided funding for various school activities, different neighborhood businesses and restaurants and so forth. What I see are opportunities to reach out and to expand into our bigger businesses, Cincinnati Financial, Emeritus nearby, and ways that we can incorporate them as partners and also into our local churches as mentors.
Ms. Ruggles, same question.
Yes, partnerships is, something that I'm really passionate about because as funding dries up and we get less funding from the state, we have to find innovative ways to connect with organizations. So over the past 8 years, I've brought partnerships from the YMCA Black and Latino Achievers, LULAC, the local colleges, Sinclair Community College, the Emerging Ethnic Engineers Program at UC, Envision Children, Youth Motivational Learning, businesses like Forest Park Chamber of Commerce, and a big one, Cincinnati Reds, where we host the Good Catch program to raise financial support for academic programs within the district. So it's very important to build those partnerships and continue to put them in the right place and perspective for the growth of our community.
Great. And Sean, last to you.
I think that if you look at strong performing districts, they have always had a range of partnerships because no one side of the pillar can do it by themselves. Teachers can't do it by themselves. Administration can't do it by themselves, and the community and parents can't do it by themselves. So I have a strong value for partnerships. In terms of the partnerships that I've worked on behalf of the school district, again, on the board of United Way, I've been able to look at several proposals that come in through Success by Six and provide some context for the entire board to vote in support of that. I was also part of the Strive Collaborative, which is the region's educational continuum in terms of making sure that we get people from cradle all the way to college graduation into careers. I've been part of that, in which the district actually had several proposals come before Strive to fund things like AGS and a couple of other innovative approaches. As part of the Good Catch team, I've arranged for transportation through my relationship with Metro to get students down to ball games, and I've mentored several students in the district.
Excellent. Going to a question from Jenny Key. Jenny asks, how would you think the district can improve communication within the community? And we're going to go with Paula on that. Again, communications within the district.
It's funny, in this era of communication, we have so much available to us, and yet people are hungry for more. That's the million-dollar question. We have forums through newsletters that are sent to parents. There's emails. There's Facebook. There was a comment, a new approach. There's a video photography or video lab at the high school, and the students, AGS students, were looking at a way to have their capstone project and looking at a way to have a Winton Woods Today, a cable program that highlights what's going on in the school in a format of a news style that they could advertise and that our local residents could watch. There was a newsletter that went out by Mr. Smith on behalf of the school district that highlighted many programs that are going on right now, and having the residents in the community come into the school is another great way to get the message out.
All right. Ms. Ruggles.
To improve communication, I think the first thing we have to do is have authentic dialogue and recognize where our parents and our stakeholders are coming from so that we can understand what they can hear, what language they speak. And we need to start to value our constituents and value our stakeholders, because not everybody may be able to receive the communications in the way that the district might put the communications out. We have to be versatile in the way that we send information out. Utilizing social media is picking up, making sure that our students are getting the information in a way that they can hear, as well as realizing that grandma also needs to be able to understand what she's investing in with the district, and they can also, it also can change the perception, so we have to make sure that we have authentic communications.
Okay. And Mr. Ruggles?
You know, the best way to communicate is to bring people in. And what we have is the best opportunity that we have for the district is to use its assets, its footprint, its relationship, and its common goals in terms of everybody wanting great schools as a means to convene people. So the first thing I would do is to bring the community in. The more that they're in our buildings, the more that they're part of our advisory councils, the more that they are part of student engagement, parent involvement, are excellent opportunities for them to learn what is happening. The second piece is we got to make sure that we have balanced communication. We can't just hear about the things that are great in the district. You know, we have to hear about things that are challenges for the district. You know, the building discussion was very interesting because the feedback that we got was, well, what's the maintenance schedule? Why haven't we taken care of some of these issues earlier? And I think if you invite the community into those type of things, they would have broader perspective. The last piece is we seem to have a push strategy around communication. Communication is a two-way dialogue. So if we keep pushing emails out and e-blast, those type of things, and not allowing us to listen, then we're missing part of the message.
Thank you. And Mr. Birdie?
I really liked the newsletter that Mr. Smith published recently that went out to the residents of the school district. I think it did a great job of highlighting some of the positive aspects that are going on within the school district. I also think that we do need to use different, more social media ways of communicating with the residents of the school district. You know, be it through Facebook, through Waycross Media. You know, his State of the Schools address, I think, was a great opportunity for the community to learn more about what was going on within the school districts. I do agree. The best thing we could do was to find ways to bring the community into the schools, to have more contact with both our administrators, our teachers, as well as our students, so that they can see the positive aspects that are happening within the school district. And we do have issues, obviously, that we have to address academically, most importantly.
Katrina, we're going to come to you. Jenny does have a follow-up, and is actually a follow-up that I was starting to write as she was getting in. Going along with the same idea of communication, what would you recommend the district to do to help parents to become more engaged in their children's lives? I think we're hearing a lot of the child side, and you brought out the best. What about mom, dad, grandma? Let's follow up on that. What can we do to get the parents engaged?
Parent engagement is key to student success. One of the things that I have noticed that there are some parents that are extremely engaged, and there are some parents that just don't get involved. And in my experience, it has been that the authentic communications of how their children are doing is very important. So if you have a parent whose child is getting all A's and they have multiple things going on, they may not be as involved. And you may have a parent that might be very involved because that's just who they are. But we need to tap into finding out about those parents that are disengaged. What are the issues that have them disengaged, and then develop some strategies to pull them in a meaningful way, and it has to be a value add to them, not just to sit. They need to know why they are engaging with the district and how it's going to help their children.
Mr. Ruggles.
I think the parent involvement begins with a common understanding and a common agreement on what expectations are and what the standard is. The feedback that I've gotten in terms of some parents who want to be engaged is that they sometimes experience an avoidant behavior between the administration and sometimes their teachers. And so, and what that simply means is the fact that if there is an issue with their child, sometimes it's very difficult to penetrate what that issue actually is. And so I think by setting expectations and common standards at the beginning of the school year, where the teacher and the parent both are on the same page as it relates to what type of experiences they want for their children. And then if as a district, we are welcoming to both feedback, commentary, and strategies that we can build with the parents, I think what we'll find is a higher level of parent engagement. But there have been incidences where there's been parents who want to engage in the district and want to have a conversation with the administration or staff. Sometimes they're met with a little bit of time and a lot of distance. We have to fix that.
Mr. Birdie.
Parent engagement would be the ultimate goal. There's no substitute for someone at home every day that the child comes home from school asking, how was their day at school? Do they have homework that they need to get done? Have they studied for the test that they've got coming up? But unfortunately, we have a significant population of children within the Winton School District who are basically living at the poverty level, economically disadvantaged. And their parent may be working 2 jobs, so they may not be sitting there every night when the child is at home. I think we need to find ways within the school district. How do we reinforce with these children at an early age of how important the education is and how large a component is of their opportunity for success as they get older and their ability to go to college?
And Ms. Kim.
I too think as far as the one-on-one connection for the teacher or for the parent to feel accessible to talk to the teacher, I'm not sure what kind of form of communication that her follow-up was, but when it comes right down to it, the parent wants to know what's going on in the classroom every day. There has to be different opportunities, not just one conference a year. Maybe they'll have to design something that will fit different parents' needs, different parents' hours. Conferences might look differently than they used to look in the past. But it could be as easy as a telephone conversation at the very beginning of the year with the parent talking, or the teacher calling each parent as best as that is possible. But we have to be open to new ideas and new techniques that open and engage that communication.
Going on to another phone question, Kim calls in and asks, she's of course from Forest Park, how do you think the district can improve its leadership? Sean, we're going to start with you on that question.
Well, I think what we have to do is introduce a culture of winning. What leadership is not just whether or not someone has the authority to make a decision in terms of where we allocate resources. But leadership is also being responsive to the communicated needs of the population that is in charge them with the lead in this area. Responsive leadership, is about collecting and acting upon parent, teacher, community input on issues that include curriculum, discipline, reform, as well as our infrastructure. And so leadership is nothing to be taken lightly, and that's where, because we do have some pressing issues coming up for the district, I think you want to choose someone in this next election that has the experience to deal with the problems and the issues that are coming up with the district, has invited the engagement from the entire community to be part of the dialogue, and then lastly can act and vote in the best interest of the community. And so while we've all committed our hours and years of time working with the children and volunteering in the district, there's a very important choice coming up, and we want you to choose leadership.
Thank you. Mr. Birdie.
Obviously, district leadership is vitally important to the direction of how this school district goes in the future. It's set at the board, and it's administered by our superintendent through his staff. And I think it starts with our superintendent setting higher expectations than we've seen in the past. It took this school district a long time to get to where it is right now. Our current superintendent has been in place for a couple of years, and I believe he's got things moving in the direction that we need them to go in. But I think he's going to need a little more time, and he's going to need the support of the board to be able to implement all the programs and get all the progress that he wants.
Ms. Kuhn.
I think for too long, the bar has been set so low, and not because our children couldn't achieve these goals, but because the adults or the leadership at that time was worried about their failure. Well, I'm not worried about our district's failure. I'm worried about how they can be successful and how you raise that bar. And I think you set that, that vision comes from the top. The board sets that vision, sets that design. It's implemented by the superintendent, and it goes down, and everybody has to buy in and be part of that solution. But number one, the set of expectation, raising it, to the level that it needs to be and then raise it some more. Because children will fulfill wherever you set that expectation. That's where they'll go.
And Ms. Ruggles?
Yes, I think the leadership must keep their eyes on the prize. And our shared value across all 4 communities is academic excellence and making sure that we are making progress in our communities. But the leadership needs to be open to new ideas, and there needs to be a willingness to have transparency, inclusion, and accountability, and the ability to bring everyone to the table, even if they have a differing opinion, because I believe we grow and we're able to think outside of the box and have innovative ideas when we are inclusive of individuals who have different thinking but have a shared goal.
Mr. Birdie, this question comes to you. We've talked about key components of making the district great: communication, leadership. But where do you see the district going? What is the district's future?
I believe the district's future is bright. We've talked, like we said, we talked about leadership. I think that we have someone in place right now, Mr. Smith, who is setting high expectations within the district. We've got programs like the all-day kindergarten, all-day preschool that are coming on board. We have ACT prep classes going on to help improve our ACT scores, which ultimately should improve our children's opportunities for college. Being in a school district where you have a large number of economically disadvantaged children who may not have the opportunity of going to college, that those things are important because it will give people that otherwise could not afford the opportunity to go to college, they'll be able to do that, and they'll be able to be successful in their future.
That's good.
Repeat the question one more time.
The future of the district.
Well, as far as the future goes, I feel very optimistic, but I'm very cautious because at this juncture, it's very critical that we make the right steps forward, that we take what's been started to be built and incrementally strengthen those and look at points that are challenges and figure out ways and solutions and invite different ideas, innovative techniques, kind of invent and forge our solutions that are desperately needed. We can't tear things down. Everybody can look at something and say, oh, that's horrible, but there's very few people that have the vision and the drive and the passion and the committedness to have those successful outcomes come to fruition.
Ms. Ruggles?
I'm very hopeful for the Winton Woods City School District. I've stayed in working after my daughter graduated from the high school because of that hope. I think we have some growing pains that we're going to have to get through because we are at a point where now we have to build trust, build relationships, but we can get there if we come together and collectively work together towards our shared vision. I'm very optimistic about the resources that we have within our community. There's been several people who have said, I've been trying, I want to work with the district, I want to bring resources, but it seems like a fortress to get through. So if we can open things up and be more inclusive, I believe Winton Woods will take off and we will see major growth in our students as well as our community.
And Sean? Same question to you.
That's great. I also believe that the future is extremely bright for Winton Woods. What we have to do is make sure that we have the intention and the focus to turn things around. Activities alone do not constitute progress. What we have to do is really take a strong look at, of all the innovative and new approaches that we have in terms of educating our children, which one of them are performing and getting us the best outcome, and which one of them that we have, some of the things that we have in place need to be revamped, refined, or taken out. The question is going to be, in order to get greatness, we recognize it's going to come from the community, it's going to come from the administration, it's going to come from the board, it's going to come from a collective formation. So we have the foundation to work from. We have the resources in place. The question is going to be, do we have the courage to address what needs to be addressed? And can we coordinate all of our efforts that's going to work in the best interest of creating a fantastic learning environment for the students that in our community and also give our community a district that they can be proud of.
This is going to be our last question of the evening, so I'm going to cut it to 30 seconds because I want to make sure you have an opportunity to have a closing statement. Terry called in and asked, how important do you think it is for board members to have children in the district? And we're, like I said, we're coming in close. Paula, that starts with you. Again, 30 seconds to answer.
I think it gives you insight into what goes on in the school district. You're hands-on, you're engaged, you know what's going on. I purposely waited till my son had graduated because I thought that would give me a better vantage point to be, to not be swayed on a certain direction or another. But I think it gives valuable insight, and it's something that's helpful.
Ms. Ruggles.
I think it's important, but I don't think that it is required. We've had board members that have had children on the district, in the district, but we haven't seen the academic progress needed to move forward. But I believe at this point in this juncture, we need individuals that have skill sets and proven leadership to be able to move our district forward.
Mr. Ruggles.
Well, it's a great question because right now none of us have children in the district. And so what we're looking at this particular point is that there have been some students in the district that have gotten a great educational experience, and there's been some students in the district that definitely need a little bit more support and engagement. So the issue becomes is that do we have the collective perspectives from what's working across the country, what's working in the region, from folks who have experience inside of our district and folks that have perspective outside of our district to create the best learning environment. So I think it's important, but not necessarily necessary.
And Mr. Birdie.
My youngest son just graduated from Winton Woods last May. I think it was important that he was in the Winton Woods School District for me to take this leap of faith to try to become a school board member. I believe that if you have children that are school age, that if you have them in the school district, it shows a commitment to the school district that, you know, if you don't have children in, you might not otherwise have.
All right. Well, like I said, that had to be our last question. We are running down to the last minute. I want to make sure that everyone has at least a minute for a closing statement. I'm going to start with Mr. Ruggles and moving forward. So, Mr. Ruggles, 1 minute to you.
So first of all, thank you very much for the time. Thank you for the forum and the opportunity to exchange ideas. My primary message in closing is simply that our community does deserve great schools. You've seen a lot of individuals invest their time, their money, their efforts to making sure that everyone, every household inside of our community has exposure to the best learning environment possible. We do have some things that are working, but we also have some things that aren't working so well. We can't continue to be satisfied with celebrating mediocrity. What we have to do is move to excellence. And so we've done it before. Forest Park High Schools, Green Hill High Schools have graduated global scholars. And we still have the commitment to do it again. But I think, again, we have to be intentional. We have to be focused on what needs to be improved and what needs to be fixed. So I want to thank you very much for your time. Ask for your vote on November 3rd. You have 2 votes. Vote Ruggles.
Katrina Ruggles, please.
Okay, on November 3rd, our community has a critical decision to make in selecting our next school board leaders. I am not a politician by any means, but I am running because I care about the students of my community. As a school board member, I will be the voice for all stakeholders and focus on student progress and community growth. With the declining academic performance over a decade, and good families searching for competitive school choices, including homeschooling, we need a board leadership that can address the diverse needs of our families and our community. We need leadership that is willing to work across all communities and once again make Winton Woods the #1 choice for all families. I am that leader, so on November 3rd, vote Katrina Ruggles for school board. Vote for 2, vote for Ruggles.
Ms. Kuhn?
Yes, I'm excited to perform my duties as your school board member. Please vote for me on November the 3rd. What I bring with me is a wealth of experience, a wealth of ability to implement programs that will be successful. I'm a great advocate for the children of our district, and I'll continue to do so for going forward. The intensity, the drive, the commitment, the ability to solve the problems and to look strategically at these solutions is going to be critical, and you'll need a keen eye to be able to solve these problems. So I look forward to this opportunity and hope you vote for me November 3rd.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And Mr. Birdie.
Again, our community does deserve great schools. We've got to improve the academic standing of our schools. I believe that my experience as a CFO of a large healthcare organization provides me with a vantage point of being in a position to help set strategy, to help have an organization move forward, and to make difficult decisions regarding resource allocation, as well as programs that work and identifying those that don't work, and stop doing things that don't work and expand the things that do work. And that will be my goal as a board member. So please vote for Jeff Birdie on November 3rd.
Excellent. Jeff, Paula, Katrina, Sean, thank you so much for joining us. I want to also thank Terry and Kim and Joyce for joining us, and of course the ever wonderful Jenny Key from the Community Press for joining us as well. Thank all of you, and of course we've done our part here. Now it's your turn. Take the information that we've given you. Enjoy our Waycross election forums, but if you need more information, you can get that information so that you can make the informed decision on November 3rd. Polls do open at 6:30. If you need more information, our Waycross forums are here for you. However, you can go to votehamiltoncounty.org. That is the Hamilton County Board of Elections website that will give you all the information in regards to the issues and candidates that affect you. I'm Jason Grzgorek, Waycross Community Media's Government Access Coordinator, giving you the opportunity to learn about the school district that affects you and make the informed decision on November 3rd. Thank you and have a great evening.
Waycross takes no position on candidates or issues. We provide these forums
Yes, you can move.
so viewers may be better informed voters for the November 3rd election.